joining the first ketogenic diet and lifestyle Q&A session. I'm your host, Shirley Enzer, and I'm joined this evening by Warren Hepworth, the executive producer and main protagonist of the Australian documentary Fat Chance. Fat Chance chronicles an epic fat-fueled bicycle ride of around 2,700 kilometers from Perth to Melbourne. That is an incredible distance of about 1,690 miles. And just to give a bit more perspective, that is further than traveling from London to Rome, which usually takes you through parts of Belgium, France, and Germany. Fat Chance also looks at and challenges commonly held conventional beliefs about human health, metabolism, and performance. I'm really excited to find out about his experience. Join me in welcoming Warren. Hello, everyone. John, hi. Liana.
Morning.
Good afternoon, good evening, and a very good Sunday to yourself, Warren, and those in Australia and I guess the other side of the world. Thank you for joining the first Q&A. So, Warren, it's good to finally meet you. Just in terms of background, I'd like to clear a few things up. Could you explain what the AFEX stands for and how it relates to what we'll be talking about today?
It stands for Associated Foreign Exchange. So we work basically consulting with businesses that import or export. So looking at their cost securities if they're an importer, trying to basically running hedging strategies for larger companies and just facilitating trades for smaller companies.
Right. Wow.
So,
sounds cool.
Yeah, lots of numbers, economics, fun stuff.
I would never have thought that. When I look at I just see a surfboard and
No, in another life. So
Right.
It has absolutely nothing to do with Fat Chance.
Oh, right. Okay, fine.
That's my Monday to Friday. Yeah, I'm a desk jockey. I literally I don't pretend to be some kind of athlete. I wear a suit Monday to Friday and try and get adventurous on the weekends at the moment.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, because we're thinking, we didn't really connect too much before the session, so there's a picture that we use, which I hope won't offend you. So,
No, that's fine.
But I'm assuming if it's on the social media, it's not that we stalked you or anything, but if it's out there. Just to introduce you a bit, so we spoke basically when we had some conversation about Fat Chance, which is why we're really here. And I really just wanted to get a sense of, besides the message about fat-fueled living and fat-fueled performance and that sort of thing, I really just wanted to get a sense of the guy, so Warren Hepworth. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I like to think of myself as a bit of a regular guy. I'm 31. I live in Perth. A couple of years ago, I was between jobs and had the opportunity to ride my bike from Perth to Melbourne. And in amongst that, we made a documentary on this keto, as I've learned that it's known as, or low-carb, high-fat diets that a friend shared with me and suggested this would be the best way to do it. And yeah, we sort of hatched the plan for a documentary. So I'm the accidental producer and guinea pig of the documentary Fat Chance, and now one of Keto's biggest fans.
So when you say regular guy, not many regular guys sort of working in financial services are going to do a keto documentary riding plus 2,000 miles from Perth to Melbourne. So can you just tell us a little bit about how you got started? I think it was a friend of yours that you'd mentioned in the video, but just how, when you say you hatched it up, how did it all come about?
Yeah, sure. So I was working a job that was in mining services at the time and doing a lot of hours and just absolutely hating it. And then I decided that I would get on my bike and ride myself back to Melbourne as a bit of a reward when I quit the job. So hatched the plan for that. And I met, I was playing AFL down at a club, and there's a bloke down there, Ryan Creed, who told me, you just got to get around this keto diet and give it a crack, because it's going to be the best thing for you to actually ride your bike and power you every day. So there was a couple of guys down at the footy club that had done it over the pre-season, and I'd seen the results that they'd had and thought, there's something in this. So I wasn't completely blind going into it. So over a coffee, Creedy and I decided that we'd make a documentary based on one that we'd seen was pretty similar, and we thought, well, let's make an Australian documentary. Let's make something local, something different. And while we've got the opportunity, because it's not very often that you have 6-8 weeks off between work, sort of thing, with no commitment. So that's what we did, and here it is, fat chance.
Incredible.
That the photo that you've got up there as well. That's incredibly. That's not me. That was one of my inspirations. That's
I did wonder about it.
Instagram.
Having
He
said
looks
that,
like a hero.
yeah, with all the hair on the face, you could pass like. But
That's future me.
I really like it because I think it's sorry, I probably should have checked before, but it's kind of man against the elements, really, isn't it? Which I
Yeah.
think also sums up yeah. So
Funny
yeah.
enough, when I posted that photo on my Instagram, my sister actually did think it was me. It's not unlike me to have hair that length in a past life, and a beard that long as well. So yeah, my sister genuinely thought it was me. So not too far off.
Okay. So who is this person?
He's just a guy who has an Instagram account, and he loves his bike, and he does a fair bit of touring. And yeah, just he popped up one day, and I really associated with him. It's like, this guy is living the dream, isn't he? I want to be him. So
Yeah.
you
So
gotta visualize your goals, right?
well, look, I mean, it's a really powerful image because we went through and thought, just wow, that's amazing. So yeah, I can see why he's one of your heroes. In terms of trying to understand the challenge, okay, so we know it's 2,000 plus miles roughly. What time of year did you do it? What were the weather conditions? I'm assuming you did this thing alone, I guess. I don't know if you could tell us a bit about that, plus your daily routine, and just how did you keep going?
Yeah, sure thing. So it's I left at the end of summer, so the start of spring here, which was the last day of March. I had to. It's really warm in Perth. It's common most days of 35 degrees. On the Nullarbor, it's over 40 degrees, and you've got 200 kilometres between roadhouses, so not towns, but actually buildings. That can sell you anything, or a tap to fill up. So doing it through the height of summer is pretty mad. It's
Yeah.
So I thought I'd wait until weather cooled down a little bit. So I then rode through, and by the time I got to Adelaide and Victoria, it was actually quite cold. I mean, I had a couple of degrees and raining in the hills throughout Victoria. So yeah, I suppose that was the best time of year for me to do it, though. And as you said, I was unsupported, so I carried pannier bags on the front and on the back, which had water in it, my tent, cooking equipment, and food as well. So I'd stock up, and I did a bit of planning in terms of on the Nullarbor. Because I was going to follow this specific diet, I had to actually send myself a little health package along the way, which was a box of keto-friendly food from coconut oil and nuts and seeds and those sorts of things that I could actually eat in the diet, because you are really limited, and we show this in the doco, how limited you are by fast food or snack food or what you can get at a roadhouse, pretty much.
Yeah. Because I saw that it must have been quite disheartening to see, all that the junk food you've just ridden. You probably just want to grab something and eat, but then you just had to prepare your own stuff. So
Yeah.
I don't know how disheartening that was. Were there any points during the whole journey where you just thought, wow, what am I doing this for? I just want to sort of give up.
Yes and no. I had the first week. I'd never really done any cycle touring, or never done an overnight cycle before in my life, and I'd always grew up with push bikes and loved cycling. And
Yeah.
I'd never ridden over 100 k's before, and over the course of the trip, I ended up averaging about 105 k's a day in 6 hours. But it took me a while to get into it and to get my rhythm, and I hurt my knee by having poor placement of my my pedals, cleats, and my seat, and trying to go too hard up the hills and these sort of things. So it took me a week to get into it, and I almost quit on about day 3. I was just in so much pain, and I had this crazy headwind, and that's where it sort of dawns on you. It's like, what am I doing? I'm weeks away from Melbourne. There's no one here with me. Like, this is mental. But I think in the back of my head, something that's always motivated me is sort of proving people wrong, whether
Yeah.
it's this proving them that the diet wasn't working, and at the time it was my body that wasn't holding up, but
Wow.
proving that I wouldn't do it. So yeah, it was sort of my motivation. And then once I got in the rhythm, it was hard not to quit once you're that far into the
Yeah.
nullarbor. There were certainly times that weren't fun, I can tell you that much.
Yeah, I can imagine. So how long had you been on keto before actually embarking on the trip? I mean, were you keto adapted?
Yeah, definitely. So there's a swim here in Perth that goes from Perth to Rottnest Island, which is 20 k's, and we did that in a relay team. So I trained for that normally, and did traditional carb loading. That I thought for the rest of my life that's how you actually play sport. And it kind of occurred to me during that. It's like, well, how am I going to carb load for 6 hours of cycling every day, day on day, and carry all this food? So we after that, and the documentary takes in the transition. So I learned how to actually eat keto, and Creedy helps me out with that, with a list of food, and we go shopping. And so we take actually blood markers as well before I started the diet, and then 5 weeks in. So it was a full 5 weeks of keto adaptation, and then I took
Wow.
off.
Yeah, that's great. So, were you taking any supplements for performance? Because that's something that's often kind of, it's a point of curiosity for a lot of people in terms of performance.
Yeah, sure. It was really important to us to keep it as normal food, natural food. So
Mm.
when I go shopping and the food I you see is genuine food, I took some spirulina powder with me, which was just to help with vitamins, obviously not being able to get fresh vegetables everywhere. And I had magnesium tablets, which Creedy told me would be good for cramping and for muscle recovery.
Right.
And that's it really in terms of vitamins or supplements or anything like that. It was all real food, what I could get on the road. Yeah, and it did get hard. And this isn't in the documentary. We didn't want to scare people off, but I had to at one point in a town called or a roadhouse called Cocklebiddy. I couldn't get any food out of the roadhouse that was high fat and low carb, apart
Right.
from eggs. So the kitchen there sold me a liter of cooking cream, and at the time I was pretty hungry, and that did me for the day. I drank half of that, and the other half curdled in my bag as it
Oh
bounced
my
along and sat in the
goodness.
sun. I didn't drink the rest of it, but it was cool to actually learn that was a fuel. I mean, I looked at the contents of it, and it was 300 grams of fat in this liter of cream. I was like, that's
Wow.
it. That's me. Perfect. I'm ready to
Wow.
go.
Did you notice anything in terms of performance? Like, because again, another point of contention is that keto doesn't quite give you what you need for high performance, you know, cycling, for example. So, what was your experience?
Sure, and really, cycling and endurance cycling is sustained effort. I wasn't going flat out and puffing to extremes. Whilst I probably did that in the first week, I pushed too hard against the wind and up and down the hills. So for what I was doing, it was about sustained effort and also
Yeah.
sustained mental effort and clarity as well, which was huge because when you're going up and down chasing a high on a traditional diet, or having a banana every 15 minutes, and then you're down again. I mean,
Yeah.
that's really hard to deal with when you're by yourself. You haven't spoken to anyone all day. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you have to stop, clean your bike, cook some food, set up a
Yeah.
tent,
Yeah.
all these sort of things. That was, yeah, the huge benefit. But in terms of the peak performance, we probably didn't test it. Um,
Right.
I know playing football beforehand, I'd found that I didn't have top gear when I was first starting out on keto. But
Yeah.
then, Creative advised me it was okay to have a little bit of sugar or a muesli bar or something like that for that, almost like having a turbo. You fat adapted and running on a base of a fat system, and
Yeah.
then have that little turbo burst to play. Football's a 2 hour long game here in Australia.
Yeah.
It's so yeah, it's almost like having the best of both worlds, isn't it?
Okay. So, Creed, he didn't come along with you at all. This was all you out there, the planning, because obviously the doctors. Was there any tracking? Was there anything in terms of monitoring you, your like the health changes that you went through or underwent? And how did you get involved with the doctors that were on the film?
Sure. So no, Creedy didn't come along, which is unfortunate. But no, it was all by myself. I dropped in. I had a week. I stayed in Esperance with some friends, and then met people in Adelaide. So there's about 2,000 k's between there. But um, along the way, I was really surprising. There's phone reception at every town, so at least every day and a half, I'd have phone reception to check in with people. And yeah, we didn't do any monitoring along the way until I got to Melbourne and took my blood markers again, just to
Yeah,
confirm that how things had changed or hadn't changed in that case since I'd left.
yeah.
Um, yeah, does that answer the question?
Yeah, it does. What did you find? Was there any, I
Yeah,
mean,
it's part of the documentary as well. We show the LDL and HDL levels that slightly increase. My triglycerides was the interesting one, completely dropped out as well. So
wow.
dropped to huge levels, and I don't want to misquote them. People have to check out the doco and see. I can't quite remember what they were, but yeah, it was really surprising. And leading up to it, I was eating 30 eggs a week.
Wow.
And it really answers that people's objection to it, and one of my objections as well was cholesterol. I think we answer that effectively in the documentary. And eating 30 eggs a week, you think would give you bad cholesterol, but
Right.
in the end, it was the opposite.
What was the first thing you did when you finished? Was it bacon, a shower, or a shave?
uh, it definitely wasn't a shave. What did I do when I finished? I made it to Melbourne. I went and saw some friends in the city, and then actually slept the night in Melbourne, and then rode the final 30 kilometres out to where I live outside of Melbourne, or where I grew up outside of Melbourne. And just I think I had a beer with my family, and that was it. That was it was so nice to see everyone. My sister's little kids were there as well. So yeah, I think it was just a regular family meal.
Wow. So the one thing I missed off the beer was obviously a cold beer, I suppose. I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't have many beers along the way. It was a very limited 5 weeks because obviously, to stay in keto, and there was about 8 to 10 grams of carbs in a beer, so I had to be careful. And yeah, it was I did lose a lot of weight along the way, so I was probably a bit of a lightweight by the time I got to Melbourne too.
Yeah. Would you do it again?
Uh, Yes, certainly. I think this time I might take a friend with me. The challenge of doing it solo is, I feel like that's been ticked off, and to have someone to chirp along to the whole way would be amazing.
Yeah.
And if you did, for it was 3,800 kilometers. I don't know what that works out
Wow.
to be in miles, but
All right.
if you did that in any other country, if you did that in Europe or Asia, like the sights that you would see would just be incredible. And I'd love to do that.
I know your friend Creedy was part of this. What did your other friends think of you?
Yeah, I think those that know me, whilst I do work a regular job, I'm not scared of a challenge, that's for sure. And I think they had in rural Australia and camping around in odd places, so I think I knew how to look after myself. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's not something that you actually think about doing, often.
Right.
And people balk at even driving across the Nullarbor. It's just a boring drive in a lot of people's mind, but it's a beautiful place in my mind. So I absolutely loved being out there in rhythm with the sun and the moon, and that's it. It was just quite a cool experience.
Yeah. It sounds it. What would you like people to take away from your project? Because obviously you did it for yourself, but to some extent, it's put out there. What's the message you'd like to communicate?
Do and to share, like for see and actually challenge what they've been told is a regular diet. Like I grew up eating breakfast cereals and carbs, and I just thought carbs were fuel. Like that's what I was taught by my parents, and and normal society. So what we want people to take out of it is to actually go and challenge themselves to find out what their body likes. You don't have to ride across Australia or do anything crazy like that, but take a couple of weeks and actually find out what it is, what the benefit is to you. Myself going in, I had no idea what it would be. And one of the strangest things that popped up, I've been, chatting to people that have also given this a go is understanding the strange things in their life that are now disappeared, whether it's being able to concentrate, migraines, friend with sleeping disorder who now can sleep normally because changing onto this diet. For me, it was actually bloating and farting of all things. I thought that's just a part of normal life. Yeah, I used to fart a lot. That's I'm not gonna lie to you guys here. I'm on record.
Thanks for
But
sharing.
I want to say, for what it's worth, I had the exact same experience.
Wow.
I had
cool.
some bad issues with bloating and gas that went away when I switched to keto.
Wow.
Yeah, and I thought that was normal part of life. I looked at my dad, and that's he farts a lot, and just thought it was normal. But when it changed and working, yeah, my poor man. Oh, he's in the doco too. Don't judge him. But yeah, when I changed over, and now I can work through an office day. I can happily not get sore stomach and sit down on the couch with a group of people and watch a movie, and that's a massive benefit for my life. So there's no way I'd go back to fueling myself on. Yeah, think about the global warming.
Oh, that's hilarious. Okay, so you're converted then now.
Yeah, and I don't let it ruin my life. I don't let it get in the way of normal things at work. If we're ordering pizzas in on a special occasion, I'll eat pizza, and I'll do that, or I'll go out to dinner with friends. And if I can't get something that's keto friendly, then I'll happily dive in and eat something else, because it's just that's the way I think. Not so much a diet, but a lifestyle should be.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that person who's ranting and raving, but I'm converted. I don't have breakfast cereal. In fact, I barely eat breakfast anymore. So,
that's interesting. I just wanted to ask, do you do fasting as well?
Just 2 meals a day. I used to have to eat breakfast within half an hour of waking up, but now I'll wake up and cycle my bike a few k's into work, and I'll work through until 11 o'clock or almost lunchtime without eating sometimes. So that's blown my mind completely. So yeah, really, I've cut down the number of meals that I eat, but I don't intentionally do fasting or anything like that.
Interesting. So, Warren, on that note, I'd like to thank you once again for joining me today. It's been a real pleasure getting to know you and hearing about your project. And to be quite honest, like yourself, my sincere hope is that people take note of the low carb, high fat discussion and put it to the test. Just see, I wish you the best and hope you keep us informed of your future related projects. I'm looking forward to hear about the next trip. Who knows? Italy, Asia, or perhaps even the western shores of England, which is absolutely, beautiful in the summer, of course. Fat Chance is currently available on Gumroad. Visit www.gumroad.com/Fat Chance the film. Thank you for joining us this evening. This interview has been brought to you by KDL Keto in conjunction with CRUDOLIFE TV. My guest has been Warren Hepworth, the executive producer and main protagonist of the Australian documentary Fat Chance. If you've enjoyed this recording and would like to hear more, please subscribe and enable notifications. You can also join the conversation by connecting with us at KDL Keto Facebook group, where you'll find more events and can connect with like-minded people. Thank you for joining. I've been your host for the evening. My name is Shirley. Wishing you a fantastic day.